Good evening, viewers. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm just going to do a quick unboxing video. First impressions of this kit, which is the Academy 1/48 scale P38F Glacier girl. So the P38 is is a pretty unique aircraft. There's not a lot of other things that look a lot like that. It's quite famous for lots of various reasons. It was obviously a prominent fighter in World War II. For me personally, the reason I love this particular plane so much is not really to do with this particular model. This particular kit is more like most of the other things that I'm personally fond of, is stuff that I've seen in the movies. And one of my earliest films I remember seeing is with aircraft in it is the Iron Eagle series. I love the original one. That's why I'm so obsessed with the F-16. But also Iron Eagle 3. As much as it's not a very good film, objectively speaking, it's not great, but there's some lovely aircraft in it. So that's when the old timers all get their hands back on the classic aircraft. So there's an ME-109 in it, there's a Zero in it, there's a guy flying a Spitfire, but Lou Gossett Jr. as Chappie is flying a P38. It's not this particular model, but again, he's flying a P38. That's where I first came across the plane. I just thought it was the most phenomenal looking thing. I particularly love the nickname that the Luftwaffe gave it during World War II, which I believe they called it the Fork-tailed Devil or something along those lines, because it was such a good fighter. So it's a lovely plane. I'm quite excited to build the model of it. I was tempted to buy the new Tamiya one, which has recently been released, but it was almost 3 times the price of this one, so I opted for the cheaper version for the moment. I'm sure if this turns out well, I might well splash out and get the Tamiya kit as well at some point. This kit is particularly interesting because it's got a story behind it. It's not just your average model of an aircraft. This one's about a specific plane. This is the Glacier girl, and the story behind this is part of a flight of aircraft that was being transferred from the US Air Force to England back in 1940 or 41, I think it was, to support the war effort. And it got into trouble on the journey, and basically the entire flight had to do a forced landing on a glacier in Greenland. They were unable to take off again, so they ended up abandoning the planes there. The crews were all rescued, but they had to leave the aircraft behind, and they stayed there for many years. They eventually got snowed under. They were buried effectively, and there were in the subsequent decades that followed, there were a lot of expeditions to try and relocate the planes with the aim of recovering the airframes. It took, I think it's something like 10 expeditions, I think, eventually to find it. When they found the aircraft, they were buried under something in the region of like nearly 300 feet of snow and ice, which is what the best part of I don't know, 50 years on a glacier will do to you. But eventually, there was a project to recover them, and this is one of the aircraft that was recovered. And then the airframe was brought back to the US and was restored, and you can now see it at as you can see here on the picture. It's now on display at a museum in Kentucky in the States. So yeah, it's an interesting story. So I'm going to take a look at the kit. It wasn't very expensive, so I'm not expecting anything too elaborate. But let's have a look what's inside the box. So I ordered this off Amazon, so it came pretty quickly. It was around about the £20 mark, so it's not expensive kit. So on top we've got the instructions. This has got some more information about the whole story behind the aircraft. As can see the instructions themselves. Yeah, basic is probably the best way to describe them. I'm pretty sure you've got everything that you need, but just by the sheer number of steps that or lack of steps involved, I think you can pretty much, you know, deduce that it's not going to be a terribly complicated build. It's going to be a simple plane to put together, I think, by the looks of it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to make a nice model, it just means it's not going to be a complicated build. So we've got some decal instructions, some colouring instructions, list of the sprues. Okay, let's pop that down for now. It's just some nonsense. There we go. For all of us modelers on here, if you need them, here are some instructions on how to use a pair of scissors, how to use a pair of snips, how to use some tweezers. That's good to know. There's just some paint and decal placements. So this is quite a straightforward colour scheme. We're looking at a green top colour and metallic underside. See whether we end up doing that, I'm not sure. There's some decals. Some of these are very, very fine. I would question the sensibleness of putting those on. This type of stuff here, it's extremely, extremely fine. But the main decals themselves look decent quality. Shouldn't have any problems with those, I don't think. Okay, let's have a look what's inside the bags. The first main bag looks to be the main wing assembly. Obviously, it's quite a big wing surface on this aircraft. It's got the twin booms for the engines and the tails, but that basically means there's a big wing with a cockpit in the middle. Let's get that opened up. So first sprue, seems like nice crisp clean mouldings. There's decent level of paneling detail on the surfaces, all recessed panel lining as well, which is great. I'm not a fan of raised panel lines, but there's not excessive detail either, so it's not going to look like it's been overdone. Unless I overdo it, which will be my fault, not the kit. That's looking good underneath. Second sprue from there is various bits of ordnance, the wheels, the propeller assemblies, part of the cockpit as well, I think, is in there. So there's a good chunk of the main part of the kit. Yeah. What's in the second one? Not to cut myself. Okay, so we've got some. Let's have a look. Part of the rear tail assembly. We've got some of the edges of the wings. We've got, it looks like some, they're drop tanks. Are they drop tanks? I don't see any on the plane. But yeah, there's not much on there. A few more details here. Part of the, that was the nose of the plane, is that right? Yeah. And the one. Okay, two sprues in here. Another part of the engine assembly. Again, we've got some more part there. You've got the wheels, we've got the nose cone. It's more part of the cockpit assembly. Some little bits and pieces for the undercarriage. A couple of bombs. All looks very nicely put together, all nicely moulded, all nice and crisp. I don't see any real flash on the pieces either, which is nice. And then one more sprue. 2 more sprues, I should say. One more bag. Okay, so here we've got the clear parts. I'm going to leave them in the bag for now. Looks like a very simple canopy assembly. Nothing too scary there. Not going to have any crazy amounts of masking required. So I'm happy with that. And then we've basically got the tail sections, well, the engine and tail section of the aircraft on both sides. So yeah, looks nice. I'm happy with that. Like I said, I think it's clearly not going to be a complicated build. Won't take long to put together, I don't imagine. Then, but I think for what I paid for this kit, it's, you know, like I said, it's only around about £20, and that was new from Amazon. I've got no complaints at all. Looking forward to building it. Should be a very nice kit, assuming that I don't make a mess of it. I've tried a P38 once before and it ended up in the bin. But that was more down to me making a mess of it than anything to do with the particular kit. And it wasn't this kit either. It was a hobby wash kit. But again, that was a nice kit as well. So anyway, yeah, I'm sure I'll get around to making this at some point in the not too distant future. I'll try and put a video together when I do, and I'll post it on the channel. But yeah, if you're interested to see more, I'm planning to do a lot more of these videos of things I'm building and things that I've got in the stash. Maybe 1 or 2 techniques, and such as my limited experience, I'll try and have a go at 1 or 2 of them. But please subscribe. I'd love to hear any comments or questions or suggestions you've got. But thanks for watching.